All right.
Awesome. Welcome. Good morning. Another episode of Tech Talk with T&E and our special guest, JP. I think most everybody in the industry kind of knows who he is. He's been around, definitely one of the OGs. Quite a long history with SEO, online maps, and all of the things techie. And welcome, JP. Happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Hope you guys are well.
Welcome. Yep. Good to see you again. It's been a while. So
yeah, I took about a 2.5-year sabbatical to go grow a cybersecurity firm. So now I'm back in local SEO.
Right on. I was actually, one of my questions for you is about your security stuff. But no, that's awesome. So Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good deal. So yes, please, everybody, subscribe, follow us, do a thing. We do this every Monday. And for the next few weeks, or actually the next few, probably quite a bit, we're going to have speakers on for SEO Spring Training. JP is going to be either a tech mastermind guy or a workshop guy. We haven't quite finalized that part yet, but we're happy to have Jordan back with us. He was at the first spring training, and we've come a long way since. So we're looking forward to having him back again. So good deal. All right. So I think who's the stranger? That's Skylar. I think, like I said, I think the first question that I wanted to cover, because you got really into the security side of it for a while, and that was super intriguing. Are you still doing that, or did that?
I was doing some contract work for some local government agencies, and also helping a friend of mine's grow his firm. He did a lot of pen testing for a lot of network and physical security. So since I have a locksmith security background, I did a lot of the pen testing for physical buildings. So we had a big financial office that was having a lot of issues with just random people coming into their building. So we got to go undercover a little bit and, break into the building and kind of pretend we're kind of, little robbers. So I focused a lot on the physical side and also the web application security side, and he mainly did the network security side. And then I worked for some little local government contracts for a couple of years, one in Illinois, one in Salt Lake City. And those contracts ended around the beginning of last year. So it was like, hey, what do I do now? Might as well get back into local SEO.
That's cool. Yep, because that's kind of your bag anyways.
Yeah.
So what do you think besides Google playing its stupid games, what do you think the biggest change in the past even year is to local?
I think it's becoming very business oriented, in the sense that it's getting a little bit more difficult for agencies to kind of step in and do their work. I think there's a lot of things that the business actually has to do. And I tell everybody, everyone has to be involved. If everything from the employee to if it's a home services, the technicians that are out in the field, there's a lot of things that the business actually has to do. And unfortunately, there's things that we can do as an agency owner, but you kind of get into the side of gray hat and black hat, where you have to kind of manipulate things, maybe create some, fake personas, things like that. So that's what I'm seeing. The trend is, everybody has to be involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. 100%. And I used to take on GMB or GBP. It'll always be GMBs to me. I used to take on GMB only clients, and I stopped doing that just because you really have to have your hands in a whole bunch of different stuff. At least from what we found. You think it'll ever
getting? And I've been getting deep into more kind of analytical and data, where we actually check sentiment of reviews. I built a little web application this year, or actually last year, that basically checks the sentiment of the reviews. There's things like that you can actually implement. But again, getting the reviews all comes back to the employees actually asking for them, and the technicians out in the field, however you have to incentivize your team to get a review, you have to do it. So
And yeah, 100%. And it's, I mean, it's easier on obviously our medical side. It's tough on our home services, roofers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, they just blow and go and, oh, I forgot to ask. And, but yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think it's still super important. Even to the sense of, being just really real with the review. I mean, we've all tried the fake review crap. I bought, I think last year I probably bought 100 different fake reviews. And it's just, it's one of the things that, and I try to explain it to our clients too, is like, you try to get them to leave a personal, hey, Terry's roofing is great. Well, go deeper, dude.
Yeah, well, that's why you kind of have to train the customer too. Like I kind of have a template that we do with our clients. It's like, let us know, where you're from. Let us know the type of service that you ordered from us, and then let us know how the overall service was. One thing that's really important too is you got to think about the customer and their overall kind of buying process. They might have had, a lot of trouble finally getting the technician to come out, scheduling issues, and left a bad taste in their mouth. So usually when the customer's leaving a review, they're leaving a review about their overall experience, not the last touch. So it's super important if you're a roofer or a plumber that the technician is the one that's actually asking for it, because that's what's going to leave the last resonation with that customer and say, hey, you have the technician say, hey, this review is based on my performance, how I helped you out today. Because the technician could do a really outstanding job and the customer's really happy, but because they had that kind of negative overall experience, they're going to leave that review based upon that overall experience rather than that last touch with the technician. So that's why it's important, whoever has that last interaction with that customer, it's time to get the review. This is about how I helped you, how I was able to do this for you. It's based upon my performance, and then it kind of relieves that stress of like their overall experience with the entire company.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good. Because it's a frustrating thing. I mean, I've got roofing companies, and first thing we talk about is reviews, and it's like, it's not that hard. Incentivize your technicians to do something. And I got one guy that he specifically goes out and takes before and after pictures and drone footage, and I'm like, then you ask him. I mean,
none of that work. You ask for it, and even it's okay to even have the customer. Hey, would you mind just taking a couple photos while I'm working? Just kind of, I want to see how I'm doing. I have a little portfolio that I say, like, make something up. Say, hey, one of those photos that you took, can you just kind of leave that with the review too when you drop it?
Yeah, that's awesome. So, because that's super powerful, especially if it's right on location. So yeah, that's good. Do you think the GVP or GMB will ever be paid?
When it first came out, they actually had a section where you could pay for certain features, like how the post you can have like a special coupon or deal that's going on. They actually had that when it first came out. It was like $25. You could actually pay to have a little like extra insert that says, hey, here's like a deal that we have, and it would actually show in the Google places. I think that that's definitely a possibility. I don't think it'll be 100% paid, but I do think that they're going to get a lot more strict on, who can come in. They have a lot of data. And I've actually been reverting back to how I actually originally got into Google Maps by, getting like a phone number listed in the white pages, like getting into yellow pages, getting into Dex Knows and super pages. There's a really large aggregator that was actually purchased by TransUnion, which TransUnion is a huge credit. That's another thing. Like get a credit number for a Duns and Bradstreet number, which actually helps you as well getting into Apple Maps. So I think that's where things are going. I don't think it'll be paid. It's just going to be, they're going to require a lot more information from you.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know how factual it is. I've been looking for data, but I guess there's a huge lawsuit to Google about taking down actual listings. And I mean, that's frustrating for all of us. I've got one right now that we're on 6 weeks, and we haven't got this thing back. We've provided 2 video verifies. They've been there for 12 years. The guy owns the building. It's like, what else do you want?
Yeah, and I used to be guilty of that part of that process too. I mean, I'm definitely no fault of my own, I used to create, thousands of lead gen listings, and I think that kind of made the problem worse because a lot of times when they do their sweeps and try to get rid of those lead gen, unfortunately, the real guys also get stuck in that group. So,
Wow. Yeah, that's I mean, it's so unfortunate because businesses rely on these leads.
they
I
do.
mean,
Yeah.
when you're getting 100 plus leads a month from, it's a free system, but it's also a system that you worked hard to get ranking, obviously.
Yeah, well, think
And when
about
you
everyone on TikTok. Everyone that relied on one platform for all their
yeah,
income is now shut down. If your Google business gets shut down and you're relying on that, that's a huge impact on your business.
100%, and it's
Yeah.
but I do know it's getting it's getting a little bit. At least you have to do a lot more work now, I think, on any listing, even an actual listing, because we're going out and we're doing like the top 10 citations and doing
Yeah.
some stuff before we even go and try to freaking claim the address.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
it's still a moving freaking target.
Yeah, you got to think reverse. Google already has a lot of this data, so if you work backwards, it actually makes the process easier.
Exactly right. So what's the one biggest thing that you see people still not doing to maps?
I think that the SERPs give you a lot of clues, and I just don't think a lot of SEOs or even business owners are actually looking at the SERPs and seeing what Google's doing. I mean, they have an entire section that literally says forums and discussions directly in the search results, in most results.
Yeah.
But if you don't see it in the results, they even have a little tab that says forums. So I think that it's something I call brand gossip. It's no longer about necessarily like NAP per se, but it's about getting into places where people are talking about you on other sites. And Google's indexing all of those forums and discussions. And I'm not just talking about Reddit and Quora. I'm talking about there's thousands of other forums that you can get into. A lot of them for your niche even. So you got to think about it's not you need to go out and get like 1,000 citations and have your NAT be exact. Like people get a little bit crazy. Actually, I have a screenshot. I wonder if I actually have it here somewhere. Yeah, I think I have it here. This is something that I posted this is 10 years ago. And I actually talked about, I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So it's something I posted in Warrior Forum and actually made another post that said it's no longer about NAP. NAP's going away. It's all about site authority.
Yeah.
And back then, the entity patent had just come out. So again, I don't think, jumping in the kind of backlinks and a little bit with this, I think the fact that just people are talking about your brand on another site is kind of the new NAP, the new backlink. So that's why it's important that people get into forums and discussions, having people talking about you. I think that's a huge thing that people are not using.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's and I get people that, I mean, even just the basic optimizations of your map. I mean, just, and I got one right now. I'm fighting with this guy. He's got like 14 categories. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. You're not all that.
Yeah.
But I do think that brand is the key with everything, especially when you're talking about, include the brand in reviews. We take snapshots of reviews and turn them into images and then optimize the images and load them to Google. So there's all kinds of things you can do to better optimize your processes. But I still like stacking press releases. That's one of my favorites.
I still do a ton of press releases. I don't stack them, but they're definitely beneficial. We usually do them probably about every other month on average, but it definitely helps. Press releases is always going to be one of my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. And, if you do it right, they're not that expensive, especially if you're not, before it was just expensive because you were paying for content to be written typically.
Yeah.
But now
Everything, it's all AI. So
yeah, for sure. So, all right. Elizabeth's favorite subject, WordPress. JP is anti WordPress, which I'm starting to get anti stuff too, but tell us a little bit, or you and Elizabeth can have a conversation about the WordPress. It's basically because of the security side, right? Is why it's kind of, I don't know, getting more negatives now than
Yeah, I
positive?
think it's for me, it's a control thing for me, and also I think um it's kind of a for me, I started in HTML and I went to WordPress probably right after like Drupal and Joomla. I spent maybe a couple years in those CMSs.
Hmm.
Um, but if you guys know me well enough, I usually tend to go the opposite way of all the crowd is going. So that's why another reason why I went back in HTML. But yeah, as a security, thing, it's WordPress is they're always going to get hacked. There's always a way to get in. I don't care what firewall you think you have or whatever you think you have. It's always going to be vulnerable. And I think that WordPress, it's great though because it does make it easy for the kind of non-developer, non-designer to go and create a simple blog for themselves. But for
Hmm.
me, and for clients, it's not something. But I mean, I do have a couple clients who are still on WordPress, but anything moving forward, it's always HTML. Um, I have a little bit more control. I have, servers that are extremely secure. None of them are able to get broken into. Then, you might get a DDoS attack, but that's about it. But even then, we still have that protection.
So
So
my
yeah.
question for the end user, like, okay, for a normal average business owner, that means they're tied to you or they're tied to a developer because they probably can't create or maintain their own site. I always try to advocate for the little guy. Like you guys already know that about me is,
Mhm.
business owner, if you're bound to a tech, obviously you need help and support. But so many people are, kind of bootstrapping it themselves. They're trying to build their business and increase their web presence. And we all know that there's so many parts and pieces that you can't be everything to everybody, like Terry said, that guy that has all the services, like you can't do that. But I do see an advantage of WordPress that it can be a DIY thing,
Mhm.
but you're going to sacrifice some of the security. You're going to sacrifice, some of the better quality unless, you decide to pursue that.
Do you
So
find that like your clients are they making a lot of changes and edits
no,
themselves?
they're not. They're not. Like I have a few that do, and I've got a couple of nonprofits that they have somebody on staff that does that. And it will ease a little burden from me because they're minor edits. They're not major content or structure changes. So that's always fine. And then I'm just here as a support for them. But for the most part, the majority of my clients don't ever touch their site. So I can see why having HTML is fine.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see the peace of mind that someone may have, but again, it's like what edits do you really need to make?
Right.
And if it's like, hey, I need to add this photo, I don't like this photo, that's fine, we'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, but just for us, I think we want to focus on what we're good at. I want them to focus on what they're good at, and so that's another thing for us too. Is you don't if you need to like control your titles and like then I don't want to work with you because that's our job to handle all that.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Well,
So
and you run into those clients that, they feel that they've been screwed over multiple times and they feel like they need that control issue of, no, I need to have access to everything.
Yeah.
Well, you really don't want access to everything because there's a lot of responsibility that goes with that as well. So,
yeah, and that just doesn't fit our model.
yeah,
It's something that's not like a control thing. And it's like I don't want you touching it. It's just because for us, it's we have our server set, we have our control, we have a process of where we actually host the files. We don't even host it on your typical hosting provider.
right,
So we pull in a lot of those files from kind of a third party, and so there's really nothing for you to even have access to, anyways.
right,
Now you can choose some of the design elements. We're building a framework where you can kind of put in your phone number, add your logo, maybe check out the colors and things like that. But as far as the actual design, your involvement is basically okay. What photo do you want to put in here? Like, do you have like your your team photo, you want to put it here, we'll put it here for you. If you have, certain technicians for a certain area, like we can put it here, but there's really nothing that you really need to be editing after that.
Yeah. So very templated.
Yeah, it's very templated. I mean, it's like, we have a general template of what we use, and then it's like, hey, yeah, throw your logo up here, put your, team logo here. Again, if there's like some things you want to talk about your, how you started, we're a third generation plumbing company, like that's fine. We'll add all that stuff for you though.
Yeah.
So
for me, I like the creativity and the design. Like I can move things around, but that's just me. And
yeah.
That's not a normal business service, local service provider. They really don't care what it looks like. They want it to function and get the phone ringing.
Yeah,
I know my life is a whole lot. I know my life's a whole lot easier now that I'm not in Dreamweaver every day.
But I even transitioned all my PBNs to HTML now. Like I don't own a single WordPress site. I manage 3 WordPress sites for clients, and that's it.
That's cool. So is it, when I actually left HTML, one of the reasons I went over into open source was the whole mobile responsive. Because, HTML, the old days, you were having to build 2 websites.
Yeah.
So, and that's just, I've never looked back since then. So, but it's interesting because I know a bunch, like Chad Michael builds all his sites with HTML, and, I wouldn't mind going back to it because I do know, I think the biggest thing is the crawl. And I know that Google, especially Google, struggles with open source, struggles with WordPress crawls, struggles with, they can't just crawl top to bottom.
Well, there's too many moving parts and pieces when people try to get fancy and try to integrate, 100 plugins and all the things. So
yeah, and PHP is one of the prettiest languages that ever was existed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people too is like, well, I need to put this, plugin to make my site faster. Like, no, you don't. You need to focus. There's things that you can do on the server side and the cache side that can make your site faster.
Yeah, 100%. So, well, that's cool. So tell us a little bit about the Trident method.
So Trident method is basically, it's something that I've comprised from 6 years ago on 3 major elements. It stands for it's TLC, it's traffic, links, and content, but I've made it a little bit more in depth. The traffic piece of it, we don't use any CTR tools anymore. We don't use any of that. So a lot of the traffic that we teach is mostly a couple different types of traffic. One of them being map embeds. Now that's a temporary traffic signal, but it is traffic. There's a lot of places that you can embed your maps. A lot of PBN providers will actually allow you to embed, press releases, things like that. Even a lot of citation directories will even let you embed your map. Another thing too is think about, I use this example for like a dentist, for example. People are coming from all different parts of the city. If you're central in the Phoenix, you may get, clients coming from Glendale. You may get people from Scottsdale, Chandler. So if maybe you can put a link on your website, say, hey, if you're driving from this area, and just they click on it and they get driving directions directly. And that's another kind of traffic signal. And then the biggest one that we utilize is paid traffic. So that's either forcing people to a keyword query or actually allowing them to search through the paid ad. And then we have our links, which basically links can be anything from entity, branding, actual links to your website, whether that be niche edits. We don't really mess around with guest posts too much, but even press releases would be a link, a PBN. And then obviously your content, and the content, everything derives from your reviews, your actual website content, services. Although services isn't a big thing, but it still definitely can boost a little bit. But think about any type of content that you can actually share on your Google business, photos, videos, everything. One thing that we actually started implementing is we built a little application where a technician out in the field can actually tag their GPS location, upload a photo to their website, and it actually tags the actual map and with the photo, and then like a little blurb, hey, we're doing a drain cleaning here in Chandler. So that way it saves to kind of an overall portfolio. We call that our tech job check-in app, and it saves to a web page that basically just showcases all the jobs they've ever done, and it has that map embed and what was done in a photo.
Yeah.
So definitely, there's a lot of things that you can utilize, especially when it comes to content, and video is definitely going to be one that's super important.
Yeah. So yeah, videos are awesome.
Yeah.
I'm over the past, well, since I started working on our personal brand and our business brand, I really started getting into YouTube and all the stuff you can do in YouTube. And it's actually one of my favorite things now is to play in YouTube and optimize YouTube stuff.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, we charge. We get all types of people in there. We got business owners in there that said, "Hey, I want to do my own SEO." We have agencies in there, solopreneurs, consultants. Yeah, it's $1,000 for the year. You can renew it. I haven't decided if it's something we are going to fully renew at the end of the year because I'm pretty busy and I got some other projects. But you can still enroll right now. And then we usually have meetings about once or twice a month where I'll go over a certain topic that maybe someone needs help in, or it's something that I find that, hey, you definitely want to focus in this area. Usually lasts about 30 minutes to an hour. The actual lesson is about 30 minutes, and then we actually do a session that's not recorded. So if people want to share their personal, GMBs or site or something like that, they can. That's not recorded. But right now we've got a little over 100 people in there, so from all walks of life.
Right on. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, when you first came out with it, I shared it all over the freaking place. So that was,
I appreciate
cool.
that.
So, and then so besides the core, all right now is just the course right now.
No, so I'm still doing clients. And then I'm building a website framework with Keith Evans, and we're trying to get that launched this year. I've got a little kind of SaaS that we're trying to implement into the site builder. And then I'm actually moving away from clients this year. I actually have a couple of clients we've actually going to be partnering up. One of them, we're starting the process because he's looking for growth. He knows I'm good at what I do. So we're actually going to be partnering up and opening up some new locations around the US. So I'll be able to get back into the home services industry, and something I've always loved is owning my own company when it comes to like home services. Can't say the niche, but because I don't want people to follow, but it's a definitely interesting niche that never I would have ever thought that I'd ever get into this, but it definitely has a lot of potential. So that'll kind of be my main focus point. That the course will be there, kind of on the background, and we'll allow some business owners to kind of jump in there, but that's not going to be my main focus probably into the second quarter.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, my goal this year is Elizabeth's goal is to get me out of the way so I can go teach and do the stuff that I like to do, my affiliate stuff. I still love affiliate.
Coughing.
Yeah. And then, I also like to still dabble into freaking, equity shares and all those things. Those are awesome.
Yeah. I want to be the next Brian Hong.
Exactly. Right? I think everybody wants to be the next Brian Hong. So, but yeah, that's awesome. So really good. So do you guys also do a meetup up there in the Bay Area? And you guys started, you and Dre?
Yeah, we started doing this. I think it was around November. We did our first meetup, and there's only about 7 people that showed up, but we're looking to have it grow. There's actually quite a few SEOs in the Bay Area, everywhere from San Jose to San Francisco. A lot of big names too. I didn't even know until Dre told me. But yeah, we're doing we also started kind of a local business meetup that we're trying to start doing every month. We have our first one coming up this Friday in Concord, California. So if you guys are watching, if you're a business owner, SEO, we're going to have a meetup. I'm actually going to be teaching a lesson on how to set up your GMB and some tips to get it ranking. But yeah, we actually found a gentleman who actually came to our first meetup who actually owns like a video production studio. So we're actually going to be doing it at his place. He has a pretty good kind of like back like warehouse behind the studio. So it's a great place for doing meetups. So I've always wanted to kind of get back into the networking thing with local businesses.
Yeah, we're the same way. We actually have one this Wednesday. We got involved with a local one here. There's tons of SEOs in Phoenix. But yeah, it's pretty cool. We did one, I guess, a year before COVID, and it was just meeting up at a restaurant up in North Phoenix, and I think we had like 12 people respond, so we got a table for 12 people, and like 38, 40 showed up. So we just kind of took over the whole little patio at this restaurant. But yeah, it was pretty cool. But it was
Yeah, I used to go to one with Monique, and because she has a really solid one too up in Vancouver. So that also kind of sparked my interest. Like, hey, I actually really enjoy doing that type of thing. So ever since I moved back here, I've been wanting to get something started back up.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think it's important, especially if you start getting local business owners coming and to learn about how to do some stuff on their own. And then you're really
and that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, education. At least, even if you don't want to do this yourself, at least you'll have the education on how to choose an agency, right? And making sure they're doing what they say they're going to be doing. Because I think that goes a long ways. It's like, hey, I noticed, you didn't, you kind of miss this category. We do this or something like, if it's something you can call on the agency, like, hey, I noticed you kind of missed this. Do you think this is important? I think that goes a long ways. And the agency, even as agencies, sometimes we do make mistakes. Maybe there's something we just missed. So, but yeah, that's why. And the course is really geared towards a business owner, so we make it pretty easy to follow.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and that's the whole reason I started SEO University, was for the business owners that didn't really want to afford or wanted to do more of their own, and it's kind of morphed into a little bit more in that now. But yeah, it's really a good focus to be on, because a lot of these businesses have been screwed, and they might not want to throw another $1,500 a month or whatever at another thing, but maybe they'll join something for $300 a month and learn how to do it themselves, and then realize they can't do it themselves and hire you anyway. So, but yeah, no, I think it's super important. So what heat maps? Now, heat maps are something that, I've always said that heat maps are, just for trends, not for actual rankings. Do you see any future with heat maps as far as, hey, Mr. Person in Dallas, I see you're number one. Hey, yeah, I'm number one. Or because those conversations, I show you number one. Well, I'm showing me number 4.
Yeah, I would say I'm probably the most controversial when it comes to those. Only because I care about you having the correct data. I mean, we built one called GeoMappy like 4 or 5 years ago, and the data, it didn't look the prettiest, and it wasn't meant to look the prettiest, but it was meant to look the most accurate. And that's what we did.
It was the hands down my favorite freaking.
So, and due to some kind of partnerships and things like that, things kind of trickled away. But I'm actually had thought about getting into building my own. The difference is that the data that I have, we're actually using like telco data. So we have a couple of different providers where we're actually able to get like cell phone tower data from each carrier. So, cool. And it's not to say that, that again, it's going to still have its flaws. None of those rank trackers are 100% accurate, but at least it's going to give you some type of idea. Like if a Verizon Android phone is traveling this way and they happen to jump from this tower to this tower, they could possibly see your business.
Yeah.
Also, too, we're using actual Google Maps data, and a lot of these different trackers are using different parameters and averages and things like that. Although, so it looks pretty, but it's not an actual representation of what is actually being done, or accuracy, or even possible chances of what is actually being seen when someone searches that. Obviously, you can't fake, Android history from a user, an Android user, but at least you can get a basic idea of how they're searching and where it's coming from. So although they are great tools and to kind of show a client, hey, this is what we've done, at the end of the day, is their phone ringing? Are they getting a lead? One thing that you can do too is if you look at these rank trackers and then you pull your CRM of all the jobs that like your roofer has done, like, does it match the data that's being ranked? You know, if a roofer is in, you know, the north side of Scottsdale, your business is in Chandler, is that grid showing the representation of the clients that you're getting in North Scottsdale? So that's a key thing that you can take as a business owner. Like get your address data. You can actually upload it very simple to, there's an application called Batch Geo where you can literally just upload your addresses and then it shows maps of those addresses. So that's one thing you can use to match that data. But yeah, it's just, for me, it's, you know, a lot of times too, you see these agencies, hey, look what I did. And the rank tracker is showing like, you know, like 5, you know, streets, you know,
Exactly.
it's like, it's showing like a half of a quarter of a mile, you know, grid. So, you know, pay attention to what it's actually representing.
Yeah.
So.
And my advice to people is just get off a rank, you know, talk about conversions, talk about phone calls, talk about stuff that matters, you know, and, you know, how to have out of 10 phone calls, how many are spam, you know, and improve conversions. You know, I've been doing conversion optimization. You know, I'm not as good as a lot of people out there, Keith and some other people, but I think it is super friggin' important. I just got a client 2 weeks ago. They get about 1,200 hits a month, and they're like, "Well, what are we gonna do to rank?" I said, "We're going after the 1,200 hits a month. Fuck ranking. You know, if I can get your phone to ring 20%, then we'll work on ranking." You know, so you know, and he was like, "Wow, nobody ever said that to me before." I'm like, you're already getting traffic and no calls. So
and most of the time it's an internal problem that they have within their company as to why, like, hey, they're like, hey, I'm not closing any deals. Well, your customer service rep just said, hey, like, yeah, I guess you could do that, and they don't really actually help the customer. Like,
yeah,
you know, to me, like when I owned the locksmith company, everyone was incentivized. My dispatchers got anywhere between 2.5% to 5% of the job. So guess what? They're gonna want to close that job.
for sure.
They're gonna do whatever it takes to close that job. The technician gets a percentage. He's gonna do whatever he can to increase sales. Like, hey, let's get you a better lock. Let's get you the security system. Like, let's get, you know, you got to think about every opportunity that you have is a sales opportunity.
Yeah.
If your
100%.
reps don't care, and guess what? You're losing money. You're not going to be paying your SEO agency anymore. Because at the end of the day, if they're not making money, guess who's not making money too? You.
Exactly right. And that's you know, and if you have, I hope you have call tracking on your clients' sites, everybody. And if you do, listen to some of the phone calls and call out the owner saying, "Hey, do you know this is going on?" You know, we did this with a window company, and he was getting enough appointments, but you know, we started listening to the phone calls. He had one sales rep that was just giving prices over the phone. It wasn't about, you know, hey, I need a new window. Well, no, the deal is you go out to the house and you sell them 8 windows. And he was just, this owner was just could not freaking believe it, you know. And you know, that's the type of thing, you know, it's more, you have to be better and bigger than just the SEO guy. Your job, like JP said, if you're not freaking, if these guys aren't making money, you're the first one to go.
Yep.
So help them make money, you know. And if you need to charge them more to do that, then do it, you know.
And we live in an AI world, and we live in the most greatest technologies eras to ever exist. I mean, we built, you know, automated dispatch systems via text message. Someone fills out a form, someone gets that text message. You can actually talk to the client directly. It can also create it where it's automated. So if the business owner is like, hey, it's 6 o'clock, I got to get home to my family. But, you know, Susan, the dispatcher, got really sick. She had to go home. But okay, who's answering the calls? You know, there's things that you can do that kind of help that, so that, you know, it gets sent out to your technicians, to your team. You know, you got to think about, you know, there's a lot of times where business owners miss opportunities on nights and weekends that they could have easily gotten, you know, to be able to complete on Monday. You have to like think about everything, you know, not just rankings. Like, rankings are great. You know, I wish I was in Clint's shoes where he says, you know, I'm not going to send you a report. My job is to rank you, and I could give 2 shits if you convert. But unfortunately, I want to take it further. I want to keep making money. But, you know, it's just, to me, we're no longer SEOs. You kind of have to embed yourself into that company. Like, hey, I want you to convert because ultimately I still want to get paid.
Oh, 100%, you know, and And by doing that, it makes your job harder for them to leave, because they do see an asset. They do think that, maybe if I do let this guy go and even switch over to this guy, it could have some negative effect, which it will. But
You should
the
definitely
idea
get
is,
into the rev share. That's
yeah,
why it's like, if you're in rev share, guess what? You're gonna care as an SEO like 100 times fold, because if you notice that they're not closing deals, you're like, this is BS. We need to fire this person or train them better.
exactly. Yeah, no, I'm right on board with that. I love that idea, because now and I tried that with a pool fence company here in Phoenix. And my very first one, gosh, this was probably 4 years ago, and it was working great. But I had no idea that his wife actually ran the operations, and I had never had a meeting or talked to this person at all. And
Mhm.
she just popped in all of a sudden and said, "Why is he getting all this profit?" And I'm like, "Whoa, who is this?"
Who are you?
Who are you? What the heck? And it was, again, lesson learned. But but it was one of those things. I had more incentive to go after it. He had more incentive to close the deals. And it was just, but then you talk to people like Brian and these people that have been doing this for a long time, and it really gets to be pretty freaking cool. Brian's got some really cool systems in place. And so I'm really trying to learn from him, because I don't want to just be the $1,500, $2,000 a month guy. I want
He
30%.
definitely got his butt kicked to get to where he's at. I
Oh,
heard some
100%.
complete horror stories, but he got to a place where he's confident in his process. So
Yeah,
but
sure.
I've always encouraged SEOs, make a goal to like build your own company. I'm not talking about an agency. I'm talking about like building a service company, building an e-com, doing something
Mhm.
that you can have some skin in the game and call your own, or partner up with one of your clients and say, hey, you're looking for growth, let's do some rev share.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, Elisabeth, spring training.
Okay. Well, well, what would you like to know about spring training?
Well, just give them a little bit of update. We're getting the payment. We're actually going to do a monthly payment thing for people that want to spread the payments over a couple months. We're coming up with that here in the next couple days. The speaker page will be up there. No, all the speakers have not been chosen yet. I think I've got 2 left. And then we're also get the schedule up there, but it's gonna be freaking awesome. So a little bit of changes going on. We're gonna have golf on Wednesday. I think the VIP's Thursday.
Well, I have a few little things in the background I've got to solidify before you start throwing information out there. So
But I always get in trouble for.
you always get in trouble for that. Yeah, we're working on it. We've got some ideas. We're looking at kind of moving some things around from what we thought previously. The big thing, everybody seems to really like the breakout sessions. I know 23, we kind of had like an agency growth day and then an SEO day. And, not everybody really wants to grow an agency. There's a lot of work and responsibility with that. So if people just want to stay on the SEO track, then they can do that through the breakout sessions. If they want some agency growth or scaling or, other things, rev share, stuff like that, then they can definitely go that track. But it's kind of a build your own adventure. And that's how I like to look at it, So
Yeah, we're gonna have an automation room and an AI room this year also. So
and the tech mastermind is always like the big hit. That's
my favorite part, is the tech mastermind.
yeah.
Well, you get a room full of people with no recordings and just go for it. There's a little bit of structure, but not a lot of structure. It's like it's active participation, audience interaction. Like, well, let's do this, and can you do that, and how do you break this, and that's always fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. We're looking forward to it for sure. We're getting ready to ramp it up beginning of February. So everybody's gonna start seeing all kinds of stuff from us and the speakers. And but yeah, the tickets are available. If you're waiting for coupon codes this year, I wouldn't wait. The ticket prices are less than last year's, and we're not going to go out and give a whole bunch of great deals. The speakers will have some coupon codes for their groups and stuff, but it's not like last year. I think last year I probably did 10 plus different ticket specials. I'm not doing that this year. So
I don't
and it's not going to be live streamed. And as of right now, the only recordings are being done are for marketing purposes, and then if the speaker wants their own recording, so that type of thing. So, but it's in downtown Chandler this year. It's gonna the right freaking 40 restaurants and bars right around the corner, and it's attached to a golf course. Golf day is my favorite. So
Surprise!
Surprise.
Exactly. Any idea what you're thinking about talking about?
I think
And
probably
in 4 months in local, a lot of stuff could change.
yeah. I think what I'm probably gonna end up doing is probably because at Lisa's event, I'm basically talking about like how to use AI and build your own tools, even if you're not a web developer and have literally no experience.
Mhm.
I'll probably do something like that, but integrated into local. So it's like how to use AI to build some local SEO tools that you can use internally rather than having to pay thousands of dollars and all these 1,000 tool sets. So I think
That's
that's what I'll
awesome.
probably end up doing, and basically how to read certain data points and use the tool. I mean, I have probably 75 tools that I've built over the last year and a half, but it's like, the great thing is I can go to a specific tool that does one thing because I just happen to need that. And
Well,
like I built,
that's good because there's so much technology and there's so much popping with AI. And for a lot of people that maybe don't have a coding background, it can be very overwhelming. So how do you take that first step? Like,
yeah,
yes, obviously jump in, but how? Like it's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so much information.
yeah. So that's probably what I'll stay. For Lisa, it's going to be more kind of generalized because she's got all walks of life coming in there. So mine will be kind of more for the solopreneur type of person who maybe wants to use AI to build like a simple one-page landing page. But for your guys' event, it's going to be more geared towards like local SEO, building, like I built a review sentiment application. Like I'll show you guys, how to build something like that, or how to build a search intent analyzer that actually gives you a score, whether that your content is actually staying on topic. So just kind of stuff like that, because you don't have to be this crazy developer. Most of the stuff that I build in is in Python, and I can show you guys really easily how to use Python and how great it is. And you can literally tell it to do anything you want. Like, hey, I need you to go build me an application that takes all the these 10 URLs, gets me all the H1s, the schema, the meta descriptions, everything, and export that to a CSV. Like that's a pretty cool. It's kind of a mini pop, a mini core that you can actually build yourself. Rather if you don't have the budget to go spend a few $100s, thousands of dollars into some of these tools. So there's a lot of things that you can just build yourself.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'll be
that's awesome.
there.
Yeah, that's important too. And along the lines of AI, something I try to tell people too is you need to get good enough with AI to where you can help your clients with AI. So, clients, at least from the conversations that I have, not only do they not know what they can do with it, but they're also a little bit fearful of it. So, so when you can come in and do some things, whether it be some automations for reviews or, whatever, there's all kinds of things you can do on the client level, but become that person that will help them through this transition because it's not going away. So if you're not having that conversation with your clients, then you probably need to step up your game because somebody's going to come along and it's going to be included in SEO packages pretty soon.
Yep.
And it's just going to be another competitive thing you're going to have to compete against. So, I'm always looking, and we just for Saltera, if I find something that works, I'm not like Dan Kurtz and Make by any means. I want to be, but once you get to that system, and the first thing I did was automate, blog posts to go to social media without a plugin. So simple, but I've introduced it to all the clients, and the clients love it, and they don't have to worry about getting Facebook posts all the time, and
That's
You know,
perfect.
it literally took me 45 minutes to do this. It was like nothing. So it took me about half
And
an
that's
hour.
something that they own, right? They don't have to pay
Yep,
some random subscription and, something happened, not relying on someone else's server. It's just, I think if you can kind of build your own little tools, like it's going to go a long ways.
exactly. Nope, good deal. So, Skylar, of course, what's JP's favorite niche for local?
One, I'm not going to tell you, and two, I'm going to give you one that I actually love, that I actually been jumping into. So the first one, I'm not going to say it, but the second one, actually, exterior cleaning is probably one of my favorites right now.
Like
And that
pressure
can be,
washing type
yeah, that
stuff?
can be anything from gutter cleaning, pressure washing, things like that, window cleaning. Those are probably my favorite right now. It's not super competitive. It's not in the local service. Well, window cleaning is in local service ads, but the pressure washing and gutter cleaning isn't in local service ads. That's probably kind of my favorite right now.
Are you still a big LSA guy, local service ad guy?
I try to stay in the ones. I mean, the one that I'm getting into with my partner and my client is that category is in local service ads, but I try to stay in ones that actually aren't in LSA. Used to be big in the locksmith, garage door, plumbing, junk removal, but those ones are all in LSA. I think LSA just kind of took over and kind of ruining some things, but. Ones like that. There's a couple kind of small niches that are getting pretty popular. One of them is like trash bin cleaning.
Yeah.
Um, um, for me,
Yeah,
it's about the fast. The niches are the best for me is usually like the same day type of payments. Like water damage, you could be waiting months to get paid. So
for sure. Yeah. I had a spray power spray client that he didn't do the trash cans, but he did the trash enclosures.
yeah,
Made a
Concrete.
fortune.
Yeah.
Made a freaking fortune. He'd pull up to the restaurant at midnight and freaking clean all the freaking, walls and floors and everything and around the trash. He didn't do the trash can themselves, but
Because people are messy.
yeah. And they also had a separate division of cleaning solar panels. So
oh really?
that's something that's starting to become a thing too, because you get these, especially my mom's solar panels have been up there for 25 years. So, get up there and you hire somebody to clean the solar panels. That's pretty cool too.
Another good one too, which I won't name, is one that there was a little small network that I sold to you like probably 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There in your area, but that's probably that's a good niche too.
Yeah. I still have 3 of those maps.
Do you really?
Yep. I don't have any place to put the leads, but the maps are still active.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. So, but it was I had a guy for a while that I met at BNI, but he was kind of flaky. But yeah, I just was
usually the ones
him.
that are like fast that you can get paid the same day, or that are in and out, are usually the best ones. And if you can find ones that aren't in local service ads, then even better.
Yeah, and it's especially that niche, the pressure washing niche. You can find somebody that just bought the rig and partner with them to do all the stuff for them. It's
go on Facebook groups. You always see posts like the wife's posting, "Hey, my husband can do this pressure washing. We're having a special." Like those are the best people to go after, those kind of solo vans.
Yeah,
like, hey, let me do the marketing. You go out and do the job.
Exactly right. So, well, cool. Well, it looks like we're about out of time. Any other questions, anybody out there? So, but no, I do appreciate your time, man. It's you're one of my favorite people in this business. And
appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
It's we'll get this published out there, and then as we get closer to spring training, we'll probably have a group of people come on. Like I might have all the tech mastermind people on one call or something. So
go watch our show too. We have a new show on YouTube.
GBP Roast.
GBP Roast.
Yeah, exactly. So that seems pretty fun. I haven't got to watch one yet because you guys are doing this.
Yeah, we have a blast.
That's cool.
It's a good outlet for me to have some fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually post it here tomorrow. I'm gonna do that happy hour with Terry and friends. So we're gonna do a weekly happy hour thing.
I gotta go get my whiskey.
Yeah, and just sit back and freaking talk about stuff, and but yeah, it's I think getting yourself out there, I think, super important, and just helping people. So cool. Well, if anybody does any more questions, we're good. Anyways, thanks everybody. We'll be back next Monday. Don't know who the guest is going to be yet. We've got some feelers out there, but let us know if Salterra can help you, if JP can help you. Check out the Trident Method ranking. It's a great group. Well worth anything. Anything JP's done is well worth the money. So I would never deny that. So thank you, everybody. And we will talk to everybody soon.